My fiancée cheated, left me for her ex, and still expected me to be a dad to her 3 kids. I said no, and they didn't take it well. Hey, I'm Marcus, a 32-year-old guy who's just living a pretty regular life. I work as a mechanic, and I've got a serious love for grilled cheese sandwiches and horror flicks. Up until recently, I was engaged to Candace, who's 34. She had this fiery red hair and a smile that could probably get her out of any trouble, though I'm not saying she ever needed it. Candace came with 3 kiddos from her previous relationship, 2 boys, Max and Eli, and a sweet little girl named Jordan. When I first met them, they were 7, 5, and 3. Fast forward 5 years, and they've grown to 12, 10, and 8. I was part of their lives for all those years, filled with school runs, birthday parties at the madness that is Chuck E. Cheese. Seriously, that mouse has a demon vibe, middle of the night fevers, and even playing the tooth fairy. Eli once caught me and said, "You owe me $10 now for emotional trauma." I love those kids. No, I raised those kids. Their real dad, Kevin, yep, real name, ghosted them when Jordan was just a baby, no contact, no child support, nothing. Just a guy with a bad haircut and a Facebook full of gym selfies and quotes about being a real man. Oh, the irony. Candace and I thought we were solid. Sure, we had our arguments, who doesn't? But I was all in. I was actually planning our wedding. We had the venue booked, my mom even had her dress picked out, and I had agreed to some line dancing at the reception. But then one night, Candace hit me with the dreaded "we need to talk." I tried to lighten the mood with a joke about her being pregnant and confusing science, but she wasn't laughing. She came clean, saying she'd been seeing someone else for about 4 months. And guess what? It was Kevin. I initially thought it was some twisted prank because, come on, Kevin? The guy who ghosted for half a decade and can't even spell their correctly? Nope, not a joke. She said they reconnected for the kids, and it spiraled from there, like accidentally backing into a mailbox, except it was a full-on betrayal. She cried, I didn't. I was just sitting there, stunned, like I'd been sucker punched by a guy wearing cargo shorts and Axe body spray. Then came the real kicker. She hoped we could still co-parent because you're their dad in every way that matters. I was floored. So, while she plays happy family with Kevin 2.0, I'm supposed to be the backup dad? I walked out that night. I packed up and told the kids I'd be gone for a while. It was gut-wrenching, especially when I couldn't look Jordan in the eyes without tearing up. My apartment turned into a cave of bachelor doom, littered with pizza boxes and tissues, as I binged on Grey's Anatomy and cried way too much. Don't judge me. Then the messages started. Candace would say the kids missed me, Jordan wouldn't eat her broccoli without me, Max cried and wondered why I hate them. And Kevin, of all people, had the nerve to tell me to be a man and stay in their lives. From the guy who bailed when his daughter was in diapers? No, thanks. I blocked them and got into therapy, started jogging despite my knees creaking like popcorn, and slowly got better. 6 months later, guess who showed up? Candace, hair a mess, eyes puffy, holding Jordan's hand. Kevin bailed again. She said the kids needed me. I looked at Jordan, and for a split second, I wanted to say yes. But I didn't. I told her, I'm sorry, I'm not their dad, and you made sure of that. She cried. Jordan looked at me like I was the villain in her story, but I closed the door. Sometimes, love isn't enough. Sometimes, doing the right thing means walking away. And sometimes, not being the dad means stepping up as the man you need to be. I didn't sleep that night, not out of regret, but because my heart ached. Have you ever loved something so much that letting it go physically hurts? That's how it felt, like ripping Velcro off my soul. Those kids were more than just her kids, they were my kids. I taught Max to throw a football, built a dollhouse for Jordan one Christmas, getting more splinters than I could count, and stayed up all night with Eli when he was sick, even when he puked on my Xbox. Wow, I still love them, but man, Candace didn't just cheat. She actually picked someone else to be their dad. Then everything went south, and she thought I'd just step back in like nothing ever happened, like I'm some spare pair of shoes in a closet. Nope, I'm not into secondhand love. The next day, I spilled everything to my therapist. I was mad, not because she wanted back in, but because I dared to hope for a second, and it made me feel weak. But my therapist said something that'll stick with me forever: you can love them and still walk away. That's not weakness, it's maturity. So that's exactly what I did. I stopped answering Candace's texts and didn't call the kids. Instead, I wrote them letters that I'll save and maybe give them one day when they're old enough to understand. I told them how proud I am of them, how much I love them, and that none of this was their fault. Then I let go. It was tough, Going from chaos to silence is intense. But in that quiet, I found myself again. I dove back into working on cars and started volunteering at a local after-school program. Funny thing is, there are tons of kids who need a positive male role model, and this time, I'm doing it my way. A couple of years later, on a random Saturday, I ran into Max while grabbing coffee. He's taller now, lanky, wearing headphones and a hoodie. He saw me, froze, then ran over. I'm not gonna lie, I teared up. He looked like he'd aged 5 years in no time. The hug he gave me was so tight I thought my ribs would crack. He said, "I never stopped missing you." We sat down and caught up. I told him how proud I am of him and asked about his life. He said Kevin left for good this time, and Candace was having a hard time, but the kids were managing. Then he asked, "Why didn't you come back?" I looked him in the eye and said, "Because I wasn't welcome back until everything was broken, and you deserve people who choose you first, not just when it's convenient." He just nodded, got it, and said, "You were the only real dad I ever had." That night, I cried again, but it was different, more like closure than grief. Life's better now. I'm dating someone new, Tasha. She's got this loud laugh and a cat that can't stand me. But being with her is peaceful, no drama, no surprise exes, no games. She knows about my past and even said, "I'm glad you chose yourself because now I get to love the whole you, scars and all." So, if you're listening to this and you're hurting, feeling betrayed, or stuck between holding on and letting go, remember this: you're allowed to walk away. You're allowed to say no. You don't have to keep setting yourself on fire to keep others warm. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is close the door and keep it closed. A few weeks after bumping into Max, Candace texted me again. She said the kids were asking about me and maybe I could come by for dinner. I stared at that message for a while. A part of me wanted to say yes, for the kids, for the memories. But I didn't. I replied, "I'll always care about them, but I'm not your backup plan. I'm not the filler between your messes. They deserve better, and so do I." She never replied, and that's okay. Because sometimes love isn't enough to stay, but self-respect is enough to leave. So I left, and this time, I didn't look back. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more crazy real life stories happening around you.